Now, as many of you guys probably know at this point, I personally have owned over 500 shares of ticker symbol JEPQ or JEPQ, the JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Income ETF for several years now. And pretty much right when this ETF started trading, ever since inception, I was buying hundreds of shares, stacking those shares up into the point to where as of right now, just from JEPQ alone, I earn several $100s per month in dividends. But something changed as of recently, and when it comes to this really popular income-focused ETF, I completely changed my mind moving forward. So if you want to dig into this ETF with me, understand how it works, and then later on hear exactly what I'm doing moving forward when it comes to JEPQ, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into this one. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the markets. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now, before anything else, I wanted to go over the fact sheet for the JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Income ETF, just so we're all on the same page and understand exactly what this ETF is and how it works. So it says right here, JEPQ is designed to provide current income while maintaining prospects for capital appreciation. So what this basically means is that this ETF, of course, is income focused. I mean, it has income right inside the name. But also along with that, secondarily, the ETF also gives you exposure to potential capital appreciation. Now it says right here under approach, generates income through a combination of selling options and investing in US large cap growth stocks, seeking to deliver a monthly income stream from the associated option premiums and, of course, stock dividends. Now with JEPQ, you're obviously getting exposure to large cap names in the Nasdaq 100s, but because of the cover call overlay, you're not going to have the capital appreciation potential, but instead you're going to have massive premium from the associated options that are traded within this ETF. Now also because of this, it says it seeks to deliver a significant portion of the returns associated with the Nasdaq 100 index with less volatility. So one thing's for certain, you should not expect to get the exact same returns from JEPQ compared to if you were just to invest into the Nasdaq 100. Because of course with that cover call overlay, this ETF is going to offer less volatility but potentially less upside also. Now lastly, it says constructs a long equity portfolio through a proprietary data science driven investment approach designed to drive portfolio allocations while maximizing risk adjusted expected returns. Now the ETF has only been trading since around May of 2022, and honestly I started buying a lot of JEPQ basically right when it started trading. Now, as far as the holdings in this ETF, it's pretty simple. You're getting exposure to the Nasdaq 100 names like Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, etc. But also you see right here this Nasdaq cover call overlay, which again is how this ETF partially earns so much income for investors consistently. And speaking of income when it comes to JEPQ, this is one of the main reasons I did change my mind as of recently, and we're going to get into that in a second when it comes to this ETF. The income associated with JEPQ since inception has been very, very good. We're talking anywhere from 35 to 45 to 55 cents on a monthly basis. And keep in mind, this is for an ETF that costs somewhere in the mid-50s. This is offering investors like myself massive exposure to income from day one, which is maybe more important to some investors than others, but also along with that, JEPQ has grown over time, making a lot of us up substantially on our shares on top of the income, which has been amazing. Now to get into the juicy part, what changed as of recently when it comes to JEPQ, and what am I going to do with my JEPQ shares and my strategy moving forward? So as you guys can see right here highlighted, I currently have 529 shares of JEPQ with an average cost per share just under $47 per share. Now this means that I'm not only up substantially on this trade since I started buying JEPQ, but also if some of you guys notice, I have been adding more shares of JEPQ to my portfolio for the first time in several months. I was sitting at the low 500s when it comes to JEPQ for a long time, but just as of recently, I've been buying 1 share, 3 shares, 5 shares of JEPQ during the last trading days, and I plan to keep doing so for a while now. Now, with the amount of shares of JEPQ that I'm currently holding across my portfolios, I'm looking at a $200 to $300 dividend payment every single month as of right now, as long as nothing too crazy changes with the most recent payouts. And my personal biggest hang up for a while now when it comes to this ETF, even though I've been wanting to add more of it to my portfolio for as long back as I can remember now, my biggest hang up was the fact that JEPQ just seems to keep going up in price, and I was sort of waiting on the sidelines for a better opportunity to grab some more shares. Because not only as of right now, grabbing shares in the mid 50s or maybe even sometime soon in the upper 50s, I'm not dollar cost averaging down on my shares that I currently hold at an average cost per share at around $47, but instead for every single share of JEPQ that I buy, my average cost per share is going up because I'm up so much on my shares that I previously owned. but I decided as of recently that I'm done sitting on the sidelines and that I personally do want more exposure to the NASDAQ along with the cover call overlay, not only for the income potential, but also because JEPQ has done so well over the last year, and not to mention if you are bullish on the overall stock market, especially in the NASDAQ, which I personally am, I think that this ETF not only has the potential to pay massive dividends throughout the next year because of some of the volatility we're likely going to see over the next few months, but on top of that, I would not be surprised if JEPQ is trading above $60 per share within the next year or so. So my personal plan moving forward when it comes to JEPQ and my 529 shares that I currently own, I'm planning on stacking more shares whether JEPQ is more expensive than maybe I'd like, because either way I want to build out a larger position of this ETF, which I would consider one of my favorite ETFs across the entire stock market combined. And this is mostly because just for me personally, my investment objective as a 32-year-old dividend investor, my investment objective is simply to buy into different dividend paying stocks and ETFs that are going to offer me a decent amount of dividend income from day one, maybe some dividend growth later on, and on top of that long term, some capital appreciation would be great also. And because that's my objective, because it's my goals, I do think that JEPQ fits pretty much all the boxes for what I personally am looking for as a long-term investor. And besides, one of my main goals as of right now for this portfolio is to get it to the point to where it's paying me north of $7,700 per month in dividends, which although we're pretty close, we still have some ways to go. So for those reasons and more, I'm finally starting to buy some more shares of JEPQ consistently, and I plan to do so probably until I get to 600 or 700 shares over the next year or two. But one thing definitely remains certain in my opinion, JEPQ is one of the highest quality income-focused cover call style ETFs, and this is over the entire landscape because there's lots of other competitors out there these days. Now before you guys go, I wanted to leave you with one more important stat when it comes to JEPQ, because this ETF now has been trading for around 2.5 years, which again isn't the longest amount of time frame, but it's given us a nice amount of data at this point. With a $10,000 investment initially invested into JEPQ, and this was on May 4th of 2022, that initial investment would have returned an investor over 2.5 years around 40% if the dividends were reinvested, or around 32% if they weren't. Now that's around 14% per year on average, or 12% per year on average. Either way, super solid returns. I'm personally very happy with 8%, 10%, 12%, and if JEPQ can keep returning average annual total returns somewhere in that range, I personally would be quite happy. So now that we talked about one of my favorite income-oriented ETFs in the stock market as of right now, and I share with you guys my different plan moving forward, I lastly and most importantly want to hear from you guys down below. Is JEPQ an ETF that we can find in your portfolio? If so, how many shares do you have across all your portfolios as of right now? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.